So you've been on the internet, you saw the word amphibious and 8x8 and you got excited, and now you're planning on buying an Argo and you found this video. Well, the first thing you need to do is get a camera that doesn't have smears inside the lens cavity like this thing. Second thing you're going to do is probably buy some shares in oil and grease. These are chain drive and they use lots of grease. Also, have a chat to these guys, because this is where I got mine. This is a 2019 Frontier, and it has been exposed to a little bit of salt water, just a splash, as you can see. In any case, you're definitely going to need some patience, and you're going to need to know a little bit of mechanical know-how. You'll also probably need a gurney and a grease gun, because generally when you take these things for a dip, you need to chop up the grease on these just a tiny bit and push the water out of them. If you don't look after those outer bearings, they're going to fail. A winch is a must, and on top of that, you can't just strap a winch to these. If they don't come with one, you're going to need to put a winch bar in. I've got one of the older ones with a carburetor based Briggs & Stratton 23 horse V-twin, but you do probably want to pay attention to this and the air filter. You want to make sure you pay attention to the oil in the gearbox and the brake discs, and make sure they're in good nick, including the hydraulic brake fluids that are in there. To these floor pans there are chains, and each pair of wheels is on a double chain. So the first front and these wheels are on their own chain, these two are on a double chain, and then these two are on a double chain themselves. They're all piggybacked off each other, and they run up the sides under the floor pans. A spray pack of chain oil every now and then is a good idea. In fact, it's probably recommended that you get some quality chain oil onto these chains at least every 8 running hours. Now, I also upgraded my battery to an AGM to avoid splashing acid everywhere. Now, there are also a bunch of grease nipples on the inside. There are inner bearings, and there's a couple up to the front that are hard to get to. Most people will put them on an extended grease block and put it up here so you can just grease them all from under the front. I'm a sucker for punishment, so I didn't do that. You might also want to consider isolation switch. It's also worth noting that no matter how hard you push that throttle, this thing will never get up on a plane. It's just not a boat. You can expect 2, 3, maybe 4 knots if you're really lucky. At best, you'll get, you can put a 9 horsepower outboard on here, put all the thrust under it. It won't go much faster than if you've got a little 50-pound outboard like this thing, and it'll go just nicely. It's meant for crossing rivers, not crossing oceans. Roll bars and cabins are a mixed idea on these things. Some places you get them, you'll be required to have roll bars, or at least a funny stick that's on the back of this. I personally don't have a roll bar. I don't like the idea of this sinking and me getting tangled up in a roll bar while it goes underwater. I don't think that's a fun idea. You live in Australia, heat is much more of an issue than the cold. These things are made in Canada. They're mostly designed for people that live in the ice and snow, not the road meltingly hot weather like we have here in Australia. So one concern you have is tub sag. Leave these out in the sun in the Aussie heat at 40 degrees, the tub can sag a bit, even though there is a steel frame in the side there. If you're a tracks kind of guy, you can just strap tracks straight over them, but you probably want to get freewheeling hubs for the side, and tracks are insanely expensive in this country. In other places they're easier to come by. In Australia they're not so much. The plastic tracks really aren't much to write home about. You really want to get beaver dam tracks or escargot tracks or something quality that's aftermarket like that. In terms of road registration, and people ask me all the time, I don't know. I drive this on private property wherever possible. The local authorities just don't know what to do with it. I hear word that somebody recently had one of these road registered and fitted lights on. I'm yet to find out how they managed to do that, and I'm in negotiations with them right now. So all up, if you've got a good reason to have one of these, they're really handy. But if you just want to hoon around in the back paddock, a quad might be a better choice. Either way, I have multiple sclerosis, and this has become my mobility aid, so it serves a very practical function for me. I would definitely recommend getting some underbody protection. As you'll see, there's a hole there. I have punctured the hole before, so probably need something underneath it. Either way, they will go pretty much anywhere. That being said, I've still had this stuck and had to get it retrieved by a tank. Any case, it's up to you. I spent about $20,000 on this, and that was the base model. They go up from there. Either way, you can make a decision. There are plenty of forums and groups around these days. Seems to be they've grown in popularity over the years. In any case, I'll see you later, and I hope it was an informative video, and I hope your bank balance doesn't hurt too much after you buy one of these.